Now let's study about the microbes in household products. Coming to curd. So the bacteria which is present in curd is called as lactobacillus. So this lactobacillus is also called as LAB, which is lactic acid bacteria. So they are called so because they usually produce lactic acid after the partial digestion of milk protein. We'll learn that in detail now. So what usually happens during the formation of curd from milk? We'll note that down. So what happens? You take milk and curd. So you add inoculum. Inoculum is also known as a starter. So these starters contain millions of LAB which multiply in the curd. Okay, now the milk is converted to curd by adding inoculum. So what happens is, when we add this inoculum at a particular suitable temperature, these inoculums multiply. So we can write it here: starters multiply at suitable temperature. So this is all about inoculum. So inoculum is LAB only. So what actually happens is the partial digestion. So partial digestion of milk proteins by the lab gives curd. Suitable temperatures, because usually in summers we can set the curd faster compared to in winters. So suitable temperature is also required for the multiplication of the bacteria. So during this process, during this conversion or the digestion, lactic acid is produced. So hence they are called as lactic acid bacteria. Now coming to the nutrition. Coming to the nutrition of the curd. Curd is usually more nutritious than milk. So this point you need to know. Curd is more nutritious than milk because of the presence of vitamin B12 in an increased amount. So also this LAB keeps check on disease causing microbes. In stomach. All about curd. Now coming to the fermented products, dosa, bread and toddy. These three products which we use in our daily lives are fermented through one or the other means. In the dosa again, CO2 is released by the bacteria. Naturally bacteria is present in the rice and the lentils. So fermentation of batter from bacteria. So during cooking what happens? CO2 is released, which gives it a fluffy or a puffy appearance, Next, coming to the bread, the organism which is used in bread is called as Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So this is also called as baker's yeast in this case. So what happens again, these baker's yeast or the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it ferments the dough. So ferments the dough. Again, CO2 is released during baking or cooking, during baking, making the bread soft, porous. So this is all about the bread. Now coming to toddy. What is toddy? So actually toddy is a southern Indian traditional drink which is alcoholic drink. It will be a liquid which is a white in color, and again it is fermented. So here what they do, how they form the toddy is from the sap of palm. The sap of palm is fermented to yield toddy. So the naturally present yeast ferment toddy and makes it alcoholic. Now coming to the next part, we have here about cheese. Actually cheese is one of the oldest food where microbes are used. So also another point is that we obtain different types of cheese depending on the type of microbe which we use. So for example, if we use this bacteria, that is Propionibacterium shermani, we get Swiss cheese. If we use Penicillium roqueforti, we get Roquefort cheese. Similarly, we use different types of microbes to get different types of cheese with different taste and texture. So the taste and the texture also differs depending on the microbes which we use. So now coming to the first, Swiss cheese. Propionibacterium shermani is used to ripen the cheese. So here we could see big holes are formed. So this is formed due to CO2 release. So carbon dioxide is released, due to which you get that big hole like appearances in the cheese. This is Roquefort cheese. This is again fermented by Penicillium roqueforti. This is a fungi. One is a bacteria. Now coming to this Camembert cheese, again this is also ripened by a fungi. This is called as Penicillium camemberti. So this is all about cheese. Now there are other foods also which are fermented, such as soya beans, bamboo shoots, which is common in India as well, and even fishes. Fishes are also fermented. So soya beans are actually fermented in the Japanese cuisine, where they prepare a dish called natto, which is like a sticky soya beans and is usually consumed with rice.